What's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, and you're watching NFL Daily. So, what I wanted to do here on today's episode is look at three blockbuster NFL draft trades that there's been some reports out there circulating with some teams. There's also been some big-name players floated out there. So, we're going to get a little bit wild here on today's show. Let's first roll through the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft, and friendly reminder that Chat Sports is going to be live for the entirety. Every single pick that you will see, not only in round one, but on day two and on day three, will be covered here live. And the cool part about Chat Sports live interactive content, we actually get the picks before you see them on television, and we're going to be going live before the NFL draft starts, 2 hours in fact. So set a reminder right now, Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and I'm excited to show people who are new to this channel why Chat Sports has been the #1 most watched draft channel on YouTube for 5 straight years. Let's go to the first draft trade that I got. The New England Patriots are trading up for a quarterback, and the biggest reason I am going this route is because anytime that you see that there are split reports out there with certain teams on certain players, that usually means that there's some controversy. And if you're New England, you've been looking for that replacement for Tom Brady for a long time, and it doesn't sound like this regime is really all that much sold on Mac Jones. So trade idea number one, let's get wild. The New England Patriots get the #3 overall pick, but they're also going to get Budda Baker from the Arizona Cardinals, who has been linked to a trade. In return, the Cardinals, they get the number 14th overall pick. You also get a first and a second round pick in next year's draft. And on top of that, you also get the second and a fourth rounder from New England. So the Patriots are giving up a lot. But also they get back a safety that it sounds like Arizona could end up cutting, and one of the better safeties in the NFL. So what says you? Who wins this trade here? Do you think it's the New England Patriots? Type Patriots. If you believe it's the Arizona Cardinals, then I want you to type Cardinals. To me, when I look at this trade, it all matters on who New England goes with, because for you to jump all the way up to 3, you better have your franchise quarterback for the next 5, 10 years. Actually, not even 5. You better get it for the next 10 years. The reason why Budda Baker is featured in this trade is because Arizona is listening to trade offers at number 3. In fact, if you were to ask me which team is the most likely to trade back in the top 10, I am going to say the Arizona Cardinals. It does sound like Budda Baker wants out. He's 27 years old. He's one of the better young safeties in the league, though. When you look at safeties overall, I do think that their value is a little bit lower, considering the fact is, from top to bottom, Baker is a better defensive player at 5'10", 195 pounds, but the Cardinals, they could potentially be looking to tank this season. So if you just need to get somebody, like the fact that DeAndre Hopkins' name's getting thrown out there, Budda Baker's name's been thrown out there with the injuries around Kyler Murray, I can see them wanting to move this one. So, however, then you look at the Patriots side. If the reports are that New England is split on Mac Jones because he was a Josh McDaniels person, who now McDaniels, as we know, is the head coach of the Raiders, and Bailey Zappe, there's some people that don't know 100% about him. Go get your guy. New England would have to trade up in front of the Colts, which is the reason why they go to number 3. And with all the reports out there that maybe C.J. Stroud's there, they had a visit with Will Levis. Could they potentially look at an Anthony Richardson? A lot to be in consideration for the New England Patriots. Let's go to the next blockbuster trade idea I got. The 49ers are going to be trading away Trey Lance. And this trade is going to be different than the other two that you see, because this one actually does not involve a first-round pick. So Trey Lance, all right, talk to me a little bit. There was a report that came out last week that the 49ers were listening and receiving calls on Lance. Remember, a few years ago, back in the 2021 NFL Draft, they traded up 3 first-round picks, essentially, to get this guy to North Dakota State, and the upside was there. He was a young quarterback, only 20 years old, and unfortunately for him, he has gotten injured, missed 15 games last season with an ankle, and realistically, if you were to tell me that the 49ers were to give up as much draft capital as what they have to get this guy, and then the amount that he's played in his first 2 years has been, well, not a lot. I would have said the Niners are an absolute joke of a franchise, as we know. has not been the case. I'll also admit that I don't want you to look at Trey Lance's numbers from last season because the only time we saw him was in week 1 in a tsunami-like situation with the Chicago Bears, and then he ended up getting hurt. Is the upside there? No doubt about it. So what could be a team that could make a trade? And this one is going to be a little bit nuts, so hear me out and why I'm going with trade idea number 2. The 49ers get quarterback Kirk Cousins. Kyle Shanahan loves himself some Kirk Cousins. So what you're seeing in this idea is the Niners have made it pretty far, as we could see. They lost last season because they didn't have a quarterback. So now you go out, you get your QB. For the Vikings, though, they're looking at Kirk Cousins on the final year of his deal. Could they try to get younger? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is gone. The Chicago Bears got a young team. Detroit looks like they're kind of in flux now after they got in trouble. All I'm saying is this. Minnesota gets Trey Lance. You also get a star receiver in Brandon Ayuk, and then you get 2 extra picks in the 3rd round. Who wins this deal here? Let me know if you think it's the Vikings, type Vikings, or if you believe it's the San Francisco 49ers, then go with the Niners. When you realistically think about how much Minnesota traded up to get Lance, and if they can get maybe a 3rd-round pick for him, Kirk Cousins, I'm not 100% sure what he goes for, but in this scenario, the Vikings are trading for the future. The 49ers are trading for the now. So why would the Vikings trade away Kirk Cousins? As I mentioned, Shanahan has loved Cousins for a very, very long time, and it's not the first time, or in fact, second time, that Cousins and Shanahan have been linked. When you go back and you look at all the other times Cousins has been on the open market or on the market in trade rumors. There's reports out there that the Vikings like Trey Lance, and with Kirk Cousins only having 1 year left on his deal, sometimes it does make more sense to trade a player now instead of holding on to him. I thought what Brock Purdy did last season was incredible, but the Niners have been in this window. And until they can get out of the window and then to the wall, and until they're off the, you know what I'm talking about, right? But no, honest to God, in 2019, Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't quite get him there. This past season, Brock Purdy unfortunately got hurt, and, they didn't have any other quarterbacks. Couldn't quite get him there. Can Kirk Cousins be the QB that gets him there? I wouldn't bet on him, but hey, maybe Kyle Shanahan would. If you want even more draft content from Chat Sports, the 2023 NFL Draft is on Thursday, and I can't freaking wait, man. But I know we're going to be putting out a lot of content on our draft channel today, tomorrow, and then the day right before the draft. So I want y'all to make sure you're subscribed and make sure you got those noties turned on. Let's go to the final trade idea here. Let's get wet and wild, shall we? The Tennessee Titans trade Derrick Henry. I'm always a big-time believer where there's smoke, there's fire. And over the weekend, there was a lot of smoke around the fact that the Tennessee Titans could potentially be moving on Derrick Henry to the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't really know who to believe, but I do know this. Philadelphia is in win-now mode. They lost Miles Sanders this offseason. They lost a lot of talent on the defensive side of the football. And then there's Tennessee, that I believe that you're going to see them go into a little bit of a rebuild mode right now for the simple fact of, yes, do they have arguably the best running back in the league? No doubt about it. However, though, you don't really have a great answer at quarterback. Your wide receiver room is thin. Your offensive line leaves a lot to be desired. And I do think that the Titans are going to try to build for the future. So if you're Philadelphia, and you already have a first-round pick, by the way, you have pick number 10 overall. Imagine if you're the Eagles and you're like, you know what? I'm going to get a great offensive lineman like a Peter Skoronski. I just gave Jalen Hurts a boatload of money. What if you made this deal? Philadelphia gets Derrick Henry. The Titans get the Eagles' second first-round pick, so number 30 overall. If I'm Tennessee, this deal for the future does make sense. And if you're the Eagles for right now, this deal makes some sense. So who wins this trade offer? If you think it's the Tennessee Titans, I want you to type Titans. If you believe it's the unfortunate Super Bowl losing Philadelphia Eagles from this past season, I want you to type the Eagles. The reason why I do think that this makes some sense for Philly is for the fact that this is going to be a run-first team. Do they have A.J. Brown? Do they have Devonta Smith? Yes, no doubt about it. But to me, I think about how effective Hurts was last season running the football, and then how also the running game led to a lot of the receivers just being flat out wide open. Could you imagine trying to stop Derrick Henry and then also trying to stop Jalen Hurts? Like, That's a tough team to go up against. Yes, this team lost a lot, but you know it's a good way to maybe keep some of your defensive players off the field because you lost so many? Continuing to run the shit out of the football, and that's what Philadelphia could do with the offensive line and with Derrick Henry and Jalen Hurts. Good luck trying to stop that. So here are my draft trade predictions that you saw go down on today's show. I have Budda Baker going to the New England Patriots. New England, no, they traded up for a quarterback. Trey Lance, Minnesota. Kirk Cousins to the 49ers. And then I also had Brandon Ayuk. He's going to Minnesota. And then Derrick Henry to the Philadelphia Eagles. So what I'm going to do now is roll through the 3 trade ideas. And just like the NFL draft, it's very difficult to predict trades. What you look at is reports. What you look at is the latest rumors. And then you also take down your gut. And if it's a little bit too big, suck it in a little bit. But you do have to look at your gut feeling. So what trade idea is your favorite? It was the first, type 1. If it's number 2, type 2. If you were to ask me which trade is the most likely out of all of them, you're actually looking at it right now. Number 3 with Derrick Henry going to the Eagles.